Now let's go to some other reactions from people to the blockbuster claims from Bob Woodward and Robert Costa, including at the top of the list that chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Mark Milley, was so afraid. Trump was so unhinged in Milley's eyes that Milley was afraid Trump might nuke someone and started putting in place all of these safeguards. Let's go piece by piece. This first interview was Stephen Moore, a former economic advisor to Trump, appearing with Neil Cavuto. And in responding to the revelations of the book, Moore again refuses to even say Trump lost the election. Like, he's still on that. This guy is pathetic, and no pushback from Neil Cavuto.
And I think that those questions really need to be asked about Joe Biden in his mental capacity right now. But no, I never saw that from Donald Trump. I do think in the few days after the election, he had a hard time coming to grips with the results.
Yeah, that's the understatement of the century.
And I think he's obviously still doesn't believe that he lost. But no, I do not believe he was ever in a state of incapacitation where the country was ever in danger.
Do you believe he lost the election?
I believe there's a lot. I believe we'll never know the real answer to that. I do believe there was a lot of voter fraud, but I also believed you couldn't unscramble that egg. And then once those votes were counted, there was no that way they were going to be overturned. And we'll see whether, look, I do believe there's a high likelihood right now that Donald Trump will run for president in 2020.
Do you understand what he did there? First of all, this is such a simple question. Did Donald Trump win or lose the election? And the answer is he lost. And you can not like Joe Biden and you can say, listen, Neil, the people spoke and it wasn't even that close. Joe Biden won and that's it. They still can't even acknowledge that. They may never acknowledge it. They're not seemingly getting over this. But Moore actually goes a step further and says, it may be an unknowable thing. We may never know who actually won the election, which is like an extra little wrinkle to the thing, which is I'm not saying Trump definitely won, but I'm certainly not saying Trump lost. But I'm adding on to it, we won't know, which is exactly how these people will cling to the belief that maybe Trump won. When you start hearing people say it's unknowable, you are basically saying it's a matter of opinion. We don't know. We will never know. It's a scrambled egg. You can't unscramble an egg. And so it justifies people having the opinion that Trump actually won when it is an empirically knowable thing. Okay, now here's a couple. Here's Rand Paul commenting on the Mark Milley report.
But if it is true, absolutely immediately needs to be removed. We have elections. We can't have generals overturning elections. That's what we have always criticized in authoritarian regimes where the military takes over. This is very, very dangerous. And if this happened, Milley needs to be immediately removed of his command.
We can't have generals overturning elections. We can't have authoritarian reversals of our elections. That's exactly what Donald Trump wanted in terms of Mike Pence, and may even have been thinking about how the military could be used to that end. But Rand Paul says, oh, we can't have Milley controlling election. And then lastly, here's another just off the wall reaction to this. Here's Laura Ingraham in responding to the revelations about Trump and nukes and Mark Milley, downplaying the riots of January 6th again.
Democrats and Trump haters have clung to the events of January 6th with a white-knuckled death grip. They claim a riot that the Capitol Police should have been prepared for was actually an insurrection, the shortest in world history, by the way.
It was an attempted insurrection, Laura. Please.
But today we learn the truth. There was indeed an insurrection being planned around that time in Washington, but it took place at the Pentagon, and its chief architect was General Mark Milley.
Can you imagine? The insurrection was Mark Milley's. And of course, that's not true. But they don't know where to go with this stuff. You've got two reactions, basically, taking place to these revelations about Trump and the nukes in China. One side is it's all lies. All the interviews, the transcripts, the records, the fact checking. They are all lies. And you can't believe any of it. The other side is it's all true, and it's treason by Mark Milley. Well, guys, you're going to have to pick one. Which is it? Are they all lies, or are they real, but it's treason by Mark Milley? Figure it out, because I'm starting to have a hard time keeping up. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back after this with so much more.